everyone, and welcome to the Clat Possible official YouTube channel. We will take up the daily newspaper analysis for 25th of February 2023. So let's start off with the very first one. We will deal with topics such as climate change and also e-commerce today, amongst other things. So the very first one that we have is, why is Venice's famous canals, why are they drying up right now? So as you can see in your map, this is the map of Italy. You have your Adriatic Sea over here, and this is where Venice is. Now what is happening is, this is a particular city which has seen a lot of frequent flooding, and right now it comes as a surprise that its canals are drying up. Now, when its canals are drying up, how will it impact this particular area? Is that most of the transportation happens through this canal. So that means if it is drying up, the transportation will have a negative impact, and so will the tourism sector. So let's read a little bit about it. So there is low water levels, which is very surprising. As I just told you, that Venice is an area where frequent flooding is witnessed. In fact, in 2019, it witnessed the worst floods since 1996. Where is it located? It is located in northern part of Italy, and it is a collection of around 118 small islands which are spread over a lagoon. Now, what is a lagoon? A lagoon is an area where a water body is separated from a larger water body. So some water body is separated from a larger water body because of some land formation, right? So the Venetian lagoon is separated from the Adriatic Sea, which you can see on your screens. Now, this is the canal that we are talking about. I'm sure you must have seen it in so many movies, and in case you visited this particular area, this is quite a tourist attraction. So Venice was found in the 5th century, and it became a major maritime power or in the 10th century. And the minute we read that it's a maritime power, of course the water, the lakes, the canals are very important for it. The city is extraordinary because it has a lot of beautiful architecture. In fact, the smallest of the buildings in this particular city have been made by very famous architects. Now, waterless canals have disrupted everyday life, like we just spoke about, because I told you that bulk of the transportation happens through these canals, which are waterless right now, like you can see it on your screens, right? Since last summer, the region has been seeing a severe shortage of water. Now, why is there shortage of water, right? Let's talk about it, right? So we'll get on to this later. Let's first understand this. Now, this particular area is receiving very less snowfall. Which area are we talking about? We're talking about the Italian Alps. They have received at least half of the normal snowfall that this area witnesses. And because this snow ultimately, it melts and then it feeds into the river system and the lakes and the canals, the fact that there is less snowfall directly translates into the fact that there will be less water, right? Italy's longest river. So we are going to talk about two things. One is longest river and one is the largest lake. Now, longest, as the name suggests, we are talking about the length of this particular river from the point of its origin till the time that it drains out into a sea. And largest means, a particular lake which is carrying a lot of volume of water. So the two things that we are talking about, one is the Po River, right, which is the longest river of Italy, right? It travels from the Alps into the Adriatic Sea, which you can see it over here, right? This is the lake that we're talking about, and this is where Venice is, right? And this has almost 61% less water than it would have in this particular season. Secondly, Italy's largest lake. And what is Italy's largest lake? Lake Garda. This is also suffering from a very low volume of water, and these are the reasons why this particular thing is happening. In fact, in 2022, Italy experienced one of its worst drought in 70 years. The worst flooding was in 2019 after 1996, and the worst drought that Italy has experienced was in the year 2022. So we should keep reading about it. This is exactly what we talk about when we say climate change and the disastrous impact that it can have on various many cities and countries and XYZ, right? Like we read about Pakistan ke floods, and so this is the drastic opposite of that, where there are drought-like conditions. Now, the next thing that is in news today is this section called Section 153A of IPC. Now, what has happened is there is an individual called Pawan Kheda. He is out on interim bail, which has been granted to him by the Supreme Court of India. Who is this man? He is the chairman of Media and Publicity Department of the All India Congress Committee. And why has he been put behind the bars? I mean, he is out on interim bail, but what are the allegations against him? Is that he has made a hate speech. Right now, what is this hate speech? And we've been reading about it many, many times. So this is what is Section 153A of IPC. You have to understand that, of course, we have these fundamental rights wherein we have the freedom of right of speech and expression. However, in our country, we do not have freedom, we have liberty. So right after talking about the freedom of speech and expression, our constitution also lays down a lot of reasonable restrictions upon such rights. And one of those restrictions are in the constitution under Article 19 Clause 2. You don't have to learn the number, but I'm just telling you. It says that if you're utilizing your words to promote enmity between different groups or between different communities, then that particular speech can be restricted by law and you cannot claim your fundamental right. Now, we do not know whether, what will happen in this particular case, because that is for the courts to decide. But since Section 153A of IPC is in news, let's have a very basic idea as to this. So one is when I am saying something derogatory against, another person. Secondly, I am saying something derogatory because of which two communities want to, it is promoting hatred amongst these two communities. We are talking about the second part over here under Section 153A of IPC. So the very first essential is the words, the statements or the signs, because what are we talking about? Freedom of speech and expression. Expression can be explicit, it can also be implicit in nature. So if I use any words or if I use any visible representations that cause enmity, hatred and disturbance of harmony between different races or religions or linguistic groups, that is the first essential. Secondly, the alleged enmity must be caused amongst two or more communities over here. See, so we are talking about communities who start feeling hatred amongst each other. I mean, they start feeling hatred for the other community because of my words or because of my visible representations. The mere mention of the other community is not sufficient to attract this particular punishment, because you have to realize the consequence of this action is that two communities want to fight each other or they have a lot of hatred for each other, right? So merely mentioning another community does not translate into a hate speech. However, when this happens, it does. The next essential is the presence of mens rea. Whenever you're talking about the Indian Penal Code, you will talk about mens rea and actus reus. So what is my intention? My intention is that I want to cause this enmity or disharmony between different groups and communities of people. That is exactly what I'm going for when I use those words. The words spoken or written must be of serious nature and must be directly hurting the deep religious sentiments of the group or the community. And lastly, public tranquility is synonymous with the term public order. This means that a disturbance of routines of law and order does not attract this particular offense, right? So a mere law and order situation does not relate to, let's say, a public order situation. What we are trying to say over here is that, there are two different groups or two different communities which have a lot of ill will against each other, and that is because of the words that I have used or the visible representations that I have. And this is exactly what I was intending to do. Well, you see, are riots a necessary ingredient for this particular offense? No, they are not, right? But over the years, the Supreme Court, also, it would be very interesting for you to know that it was back in 1898 that this particular offense was listed out in the Indian Penal Code. So it was not there at the very onset, but yeah, eventually later on it was added up. And well, that is what it is. Now, what will happen to Pawan Kheda and what happens to the result of the case is something that you and I don't know, because this is already, pending in the court of law. So that is what what the court will decide. Right now, he's out on interim bail, and we have a very basic idea as to what is Section 153A of IPC, which has been, so the ingredients that we've listed out over here are because of various many judicial precedents in different cases. Okay. Now, the next one is Amazon joins ONDC, the e-commerce network. This is what I was talking about when I said, e-commerce is what we are going to talk about, or economy is what we are going to talk about today. Now, so you have to understand that India is a huge marketplace. There are big giants. There are also small merchants, right? And these small merchants should also have the opportunity to sell their products to the entire customer base that is there in India. Now, it so happens that, on ground, when there was no digital market, it was upon the customer to decide कि भाई मुझे इससे चीज खरीदनी है कि उससे. Do I want a cheaper but an okayish quality version of this particular product, or do I want like an extremely expensive thing just because I can spend that kind of money? But the right of choice was always given to the customers. Now comes these very big giants, these e-commerce platforms like Amazon or Flipkart, who are obviously giving us a chance to purchase these products for sure, right? Sometimes what happens is, let's say I want to buy a very, very basic product. When I go to a normal shop, I tend to see that this particular product has been priced as X rupees. But the minute I go and check the price of the same commodity on Amazon or on Flipkart, I realize that it is heavily discounted. Now, and the second thing is, when I have to go to an actual shop and purchase this particular product, I have to take out that dedicated time. I need to step out of my house, go into that shop. It takes a very long time. Now, some people really enjoy the experience, and I'm not talking about them. But the rest of us who are lazy, or who feel, no, I'm going to utilize this time for other things, we believe that, okay, why should I go to a particular shop? Why can't I just sit back at home, and why can't I just order this particular thing? Now, the minute I order this particular product from Amazon or Flipkart, do you realize that Amazon and Flipkart have further gone and gotten into contracts with many, many manufacturers? Now, they will obviously account for a lot of manufacturers of India, but these will not account for all the manufacturers in India. So, for example, I want to purchase like a sandwich maker, right? Now, a sandwich maker is something that can be purchased in many shops. A lot of people must be manufacturing this particular thing. Let's say 100 people are manufacturing this thing. Out of 100, Amazon and Flipkart have gotten into a contract with only 50. So the minute I go on Amazon and Flipkart, I am only purchasing this product from those 50 manufacturers. And the rest of the 50 manufacturers, poor things, they don't have any sellers, they don't have any purchasers only coming to their shop, because most of the shopping is being done online. And after the COVID-19 pandemic, you and I are both aware how it is very rampant. This is happening. It is right there in front of us. Now, what are we going to do for these small merchants, for these kirana shops and all of that, the grocery shops? So the government of India comes up with another idea. And back in 2021, December 2021, they start this pilot project. And in April 2022, they take it out, large scale ये project उन्होंने introduce कर दिया. कौन सी project के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं? We are talking about ONDC. What is ONDC? Open Network for Digital Commerce. Now, Open Network for Digital Commerce platforms are basically a competitor to these e-commerce giants like Amazon and Flipkart, wherein these platforms provide an opportunity to these small merchants and these grocery shop vendors or kirana shops, so as to be able to sell their product to the customers in case the customers want to purchase this online, right? It is an open source source platform, right? And they will be able to list out their goods. It's almost like if I am in a particular location and I'm looking for a particular commodity and I go on this particular platform, they will tell me, अच्छा आपके लोकेशन में से कितने सारे लोग हैं जो ये वाली चीज़ आपको सेल कर सकते हैं, एंड ज़्यादा लोगों को अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल जाएगा to sell their products. In a very similar manner, I also get my right as a consumer to choose कि मुझे किससे ये सैंडविच मेकर खरीदना है. It shouldn't be कि अच्छा ठीक है आपने already pre-decide करके रखा है that sandwich makers should be from these 50 shops only, and I'm talking about Amazon over here. So this is how it gives a level playing field to all the small merchants. Now what is the news? Because I have just told you that the pilot project, it took place and it was introduced in December 2021, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. And it was introduced on a whole scale level in April 2022. When it was introduced, there was a 9-member committee that sat down and decided how to go about it. It has government backing. One of those members of the committee was Nandan Nilekani, who is extremely famous. You must have heard of his name from Infosys, right? Okay. So now, what has happened right now is Amazon has made an agreement with ONDC. And this is a huge news. This is very good. That means our idea as to giving a level playing field is actually working. Fine. And if Amazon is also coming into an agreement with ONDC, that definitely means that these small-time traders will also be able to get access to processes and technologies which are typically deployed by very large e-commerce platforms. It's also a bit strange because, ONDC had taken out a strategic paper wherein they had spoken about how companies like Amazon are not giving opportunities to small-time traders. Now, so Amazon said that it will integrate its logistic network. What is logistic network? वही चीज़ जब हम लोग Amazon हम क्यों use कर रहे हैं? Because I know that the estimated time of arrival of my product is really good. If I have a Prime membership, then I will not have to even wait for 3-4 days. I might order it today and I might get it tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow. You also know that Amazon has made a contract with the Indian Railways where it is paying a huge amount as rent to the Indian Railways so as to be able to make sure that its logistics are very good. Now it's going to integrate its logistic network and its software suite called Smart Commerce with ONDC. That means these small merchants will also be able to sell their products to far-flung areas provided the customers want them. At least they have the opportunity to sell it off. That is a good thing, right? So Smart Commerce is Amazon Web Services powered suite of software as a service product that enables the MSME sector to build and scale their businesses across digital mediums and will enable onboarding. It'll enable onboarding to the ONDC network also. Now, software as a service is basically wherein your company is hiring a software and it is listing out whatever it wants to list out, and it's like a buy as you use it platform. It's an open source platform wherein you can utilize the carefully built software in order for you to go and sell off your goods and services. वही जो चीज़ मैंने इनिशियली बोली थी उसी को थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड वे से यहाँ पे लिख दिया है. ठीक है, वो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड चीज़ लर्न करने की ज़रूरत नहीं. हाँ, ये ज़रूर करना है कि अमेजोन के सॉफ्टवेयर सूट को बोलते क्या है, तो स्मार्ट कॉमर्स. वेरी वेरी सिंपल. एंड whom have they got into an agreement with? ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce. Why is ONDC made? So as to be able to give a lot of opportunity to small-time traders for them to sell off their products if at all they wish to in a digital environment. And this also translates into the right of a consumer, the right to choice of a consumer. Okay. Now, ONDC is based on an open sourced methodology. We've already spoken about it. It's an open network in the sense that you don't have to get into as many compliances as are required in Amazon. And if Amazon and Flipkart, both of them become a part of ONDC, then all the 50 sandwich makers which were, whom Amazon and Flipkart had contracted out, those will also be available on ONDC platform. And the other 50 will also be available. So again, wide range of choice to the customer. Fine. It is being developed as a counter to the current duopoly in the Indian commerce market. And I told you, so instead of monopoly, because that's just one, there are two major giants in the e-commerce. One is Flipkart and the second is Amazon. We've just spoken about it. So I said that back in December 2021, right, what had happened was they had started off a pilot project, and this pilot project was introduced in December 2021. Then they made those 9 members. Nandan Nilekani was a part of it. Which department is a part of it? Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Yes, this is important. Ministry of Commerce ke under aata hai Piyush Goyal, right? So where did they start this off? In Delhi, NCR, Bangalore, Coimbatore, Bhopal, Shillong, fine. And afterwards, in the month of August, even Microsoft, so this is important for us, Microsoft became the first big technology company to join ONDC with an intention to introduce social e-commerce. What is social e-commerce? Wherein you're giving a lot of opportunities to small-time traders as well as big-time traders. Okay, now a number of other participants are also currently live on the ONDC network. So, for example, you would be knowing Paytm. This has also joined the platform as a buyer. So that means that whenever I want to go and purchase something from Paytm, Paytm will also allow me to use the ONDC network and give me a wide range of choices from where I can purchase whatever I feel like purchasing. And Dunzo is something that you might have heard. It's a very, very popular company. So that is that. I mean, of course, this is to do with economy. This is also to do with polity in the sense that it gives certain rights to the buyers as well as the consumers. All you have to know is ONDC. You have to know the Department for the Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, which comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, right? There was a test run. There was a 9-member committee. Nandan Nilekani was one of them. And now that you know, the very big technology giant to first, get into an agreement with ONDC was Microsoft. ONDC is a government-backed company, right? Government-backed but private-led company, okay? And Amazon is the latest to come and join it. Well, that is all from my side. We'll see each other soon. Thank you very much. Make your notes. Continue to do so. Continue to study very, very hard. And yes, so we will see each other again. All the best. Bye. Thank you.